Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Show Low City Council to order by roll call. See that all council members are present at this time. I would like to thank those of you who are with us tonight in person, as well as those who may be joining us at home on City 56. Would like to begin this evening with the invocation. We've asked Council Member Kelly if he'd lead us in invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Council Member Alsop. Those who would like to join with us, please stand.
Our Father in heaven, dear Lord, I truly thank you for the privilege of living on this mountain. You have given us such a beautiful place. I ask that you would continue to be with us through your own nature, giving us the moisture the mountain needs. Be with our service personnel around the world and at home in a very special way. Guide and direct. Help each of us tonight as we look at the business before the city of Show Low that we have wisdom and will make decisions that is best for the city. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly and Councilmember Alsop. First item tonight is call to the public. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that's not on the agenda tonight but is in the city of Show Low may do so at this time. Seeing nobody moved, I'll close call to the public and come back to the consent calendar. Does council have any items on the consent calendar that need to be talked about or reviewed individually? Councilmember Alsop.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you for letting us be here tonight, but I wanted to let Lisa know that we're going to let her off the hook tonight. Instead of having her come up. She was sweating back there that we we're going to have her come up, so I want to make sure she's okay with that.
How do you know we are?
Well, I mean, two of us wanted to.
Now I'll go through the consent calendar. We have a consideration of resolution number R201706, authorizing and supporting application for an economic strength project grant for infrastructure and business development. We also have a consideration of resolution R2017-09, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Pinetop Lakeside in Navajo County for surface maintenance on Penrod Road, and the minutes of the Show Low City Council meeting, regular meeting of February 21st, 2017, and our study session of February 21st, 2017. We'll look for a motion. Motion by Councilmember Alsop, seconded by Councilmember Crittenden. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 7-0. Thank you. Next item is a public hearing and application submitted by Gary Arthur Martinson for number 6 bar liquor license on behalf of Buffalo Bill's Tavern and Grill for its location at 1 North Bison Preserve Way, Show Low, Arizona. Turn the time now to Ann Kurosaki.
Thank you, Mayor. Gary Martinson, who represents Buffalo Bill's Tavern and Grill, submitted an application for a person transfer and a location transfer for a number 6 bar liquor license. The request is to transfer the number 6 bar liquor license currently held by Bison Golf and Country Club located at 860 North 36th Drive to Buffalo Bill's Tavern and Grill located at 1 North Bison Preserve Way. We posted the property as required by law, but received no public input. We also had the police department conduct a background check on Mr. Martinson, found nothing amiss. The Department of Liquor Licenses and Control will then conduct their own internal investigations and background checks, and based on the investigators' findings and the recommendation of the council, the State Liquor Board will then decide whether to approve or deny the application. If the council chooses to recommend denial, you must state the reasons for denial. Mr. Martinson is here. Should you have any questions of the applicant, I would like to make one note of one change. On his application, we noticed that The nearest church is actually closer than what was put on the application. He had put Grace Fellowship at a mile away. But we found that there's a church, it's called the Light of the World Church, and it is 758 feet away. It's located on Clark Road, but still 758 feet is beyond the 300-foot limit. So he's okay, but the Department of Liquor Licenses just asked that he submit an amended page, which we did receive this afternoon. So it's not in your packet, but we do have it as part of the application.
Okay, thank you. This time I'd like to open up the public hearing for this consideration of application of a number 6 bar and liquor license for the Buffalo Bills. Seeing nobody moved the public hearing, I'll close the public hearing and come back to council for any questions or comments that they have. Councilmember Crittenden.
No, go ahead. I was going to make a motion.
Okay, Councilmember Alsop.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking through the application and everything else, and there was one that I had a question on 14A on his license. It says, I have attended a DLLC approved liquor law training course within in the past 3 years. Must provide proof. If the answer on 14A is no, course must be completed before the issuance of this license, and the answer was no. So I'm just questioning is that license going to be obtained in the time frame it's supposed to be obtained?
Yes, he does state a little bit later on that he does plan to take the training again. So he will be, and the Department of Liquor Licenses the staff is aware that he plans to take the training.
Okay, thank you.
Take it.
Any other discussion? Oh, look, I look for a motion at this time. Councilmember Crittenden.
I move to recommend approval to the State Liquor Board of the application submitted by Gary Arthur Martinson for number 6 bar liquor license on behalf of Buffalo Bills Tavern and Grill for its location at 1 North Bison Preserve Way, Show Low, Arizona.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Leach. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 6-1. Next item we have is items 7, C, and D. Mr. Trugaskis.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At its public hearing of February 28, 2017, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved proposed revisions to Chapter 15 of the Show Low City Code by a vote of 7-0. The purpose of these revisions is to perform general updates to help ensure that the city code meets the requirements of recent Supreme Court actions and to help streamline processes. Proposed amendments to Section 15-145 entitled Signs include relocating the mural requirements from Section 15-145 to subsection X entitled Murals of Section 15-144. That would take the mural portion, which really is a non-commercial part of the code, and take it out of commercial signs and put it into general provisions. Updating definitions to help ensure content neutrality, allowing multiple simultaneous colors on electronic message board signs, reducing the amount of time a message has to be visible on electronic message board signs from 5 minutes to 1 minute, and streamlining the enforcement process. Proposed amendments to Section 15-169, entitled Wireless Telecommunication Towers and Antennas, are limited to changing the required minimum setback distance of a wireless telecommunications tower to allow flexibility in placing wireless telecommunication towers. Current code requires that towers be set back a minimum of 125% of the tower height from adjacent property lines. Code also allows that this setback can be reduced to 100% of the tower height if allowed by the commission as part of a conditional use permit. The proposed revision would allow the tower setback to be reduced to any number if allowed by the commission as part of a conditional use permit. As an example, currently, city code, if you were to apply to place a 60-foot tall wireless tower on a piece of property, The 125% would mean you'd have to be 60 feet away plus an additional 15 feet away from the property line. So a total of 75 feet from the property line. If under current code, the commission granted the allowance that they could, that reduction would allow you to be 100% of the height of the tower. So on a 60-foot tower, you could be 60 feet away from the adjacent property line. That would be the closest you could be to the adjacent property line. Under the proposal that's before you this evening, that number could be reduced to any percentage of the height of the tower with notification of the adjacent property owner, so they would know what the request would be. Adjacent property owners are required to be notified anytime there is a conditional use permit being considered by the commission. The proposed changes are shown in resolution number 2017-10. The deleted text is shown as strike-throughs, and additions are shown as bolded and underlined. We did publish notice of public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the meeting this evening. With that, staff is available for questions.
Okay, thank you. I think this time I'll open up this to public hearing, and then we'll come back for some questions, okay, possibly. This time I'd like to open up the public hearing on this ordinance here, R2017-10, for sign codes. Seeing nobody moved, I'll close the public hearing. Come back to council for any questions or comments here. I just have a question on the sign code here of taking out the animation. Could you kind of enhance us a little bit on where we're at with that? I do appreciate the work that's gone into this to streamlining this process a little bit and opening it up where we have signs changing, a little more often and a little more color there. But help us understand the animation concern here, or the reason that we have animation restrictions now.
Certainly. The sign code's been through several revisions through the years. Originally, the sign code did not allow for businesses to have electronic message board signs. Flat out, they were just prohibited. Several years ago, we amended the sign code to allow for the electronic message board signs with several provisions on them. One of them was color. They were limited to a single color, kind of that orangish amber that you see. We also did not allow for any type of animation, and the message had to remain on the sign for a minimum of 1 hour between message changes. There was the provision that time frame could be reduced through a conditional use permit. And we did have one business that went through that conditional use permit process to have the time reduced. And they had requested a 5-minute minimum between message changes. Fast forward a few years from that point, and we had sign code 2.0, I suppose you might call it, where we still kept the color restriction. So you still were limited to, again, that kind of orangish amber color. The time restriction was lowered from 1 hour to 5 minutes with the ability to obtain a conditional use permit to reduce that even further. We have not had anyone who has applied for that specific allowance under the existing sign code. And animation was prohibited again. So no change between the two sign codes. What you see before you this evening would change the time limit from the 5 minutes that it currently is now to a 1-minute restriction. So reducing that down substantially. Also changing the color restriction. So from the current orangish amber color, you would be able to utilize any color that you choose. That is similar to if I put up a static sign. We have no restrictions on color for a static sign. We had a little bit of a concern with content neutrality. Why is it that we're telling one guy your color has to be a certain color, and somebody else that, well, you're doing a little bit different sign, so you can use any color you want. So that's why you see that, that request being made here. There, again, is no change to the restriction on animation. Staff did recommend that to the commission, who in turn is recommending that to the council this evening. The concern with the animation that was brought forth in the discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commission, ultimately, we have to look at if this sign code is passed, as it stands before you this evening, that would apply to every business that is located within the city limits. And what are the potential effects of that sign code if it played through to its maximum potential? What is the potential if you have multiple businesses lined up one right after the other, if they each have full animation on their sign that's out front? And the concern that was brought and is what is represented to you guys this evening is that would be pretty flashy, pretty bright. You would have the effect of multiple changes within perhaps a very short period of time. And the comments that we get are, and it perhaps is overused, we're not a big city. We're trying to retain our small town charm, and putting those animated signs with the potential to have any essentially message on that perhaps could distract from that. So Mayor, I don't know, that may have been a little more information than you were asking, but that was kind of the process that went through, resulting in what you have before you this evening.
Can you define what animation is, though? Is it any movement, or is it, I mean, if there's a message that scrolls across, is that considered animation?
We have a definition in the code where we refer to animation or animated, and it reads the movement or the optical illusion of movement of any part of the street graphic structure, design, or pictorial segment, including the movement of any illumination of the flashing or varying of a light intensity, the automatic changing of all or any part of the facing of a street graphic. Basically, if you've got the words up there, and they're saying, hamburgers, $1.99. If those words are moving around on there, if you've got, some guy in the background that looks like he's really enjoying this big juicy hamburger, and he's taking the hamburger, moving it to his mouth, that would all be considered animation. If you've got the words that are there, and then it changes directly to a new set of words, and there's none of this movement going on, that would be considered to be non-animated and would meet these requirements.
Then you scroll and change. Okay.
Right.
Appreciate that. Any other discussion or questions? All right. I need a motion for resolution number 2017-10. Councilmember Crittenden.
I move to adopt resolution number R2017-10, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled Revisions to Section 15-1-44 and -45 and 15-1-69 of Chapter 15, Planning and Zoning of the Show Low City Code.
Do we have a motion? Is there a second? I'll second it. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 7-0. This time by unanimous consent, I'll ask the city clerk to read ordinance number 2017-04 by title only, since all council members have a copy.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Show Low, Arizona, amending certain sections of Chapter 15, Planning and Zoning of the Show Low City Code, and adopting that document titled Revisions to Sections 15-1-44 and 45 and 15-1-69 of Chapter 15, Planning and Zoning of the Show Low City Code by reference.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion. I'll make it. I move to adopt ordinance number 2017-04. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Alsop. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? See that passed 7-0.
Say aye and we raise
Yeah, we
our
didn't have
hands.
any ayes, but sorry about that. Raise your
Say
hands
aye,
there.
Ron.
Well, I want to just thank Planning and Zoning for your efforts on working on this and going forward, and I'm sure we'll continue at some point to, see how that evolves and works out and goes forward. So thank you very much. Next item we have on the agenda somewhere. The summary of current events. Council members wishing to share any current
forgot
events may
Shane.
do so.
No.
This-
You skipped one.
Oh, I did. I apologize.
Shane, you can go home.
You can go home, Shane. Item E, consideration of award a construction contract for the Deuce Club's Waterline 8th Street to Central City Shoal Project number W0116. Mr. Himasaw.
All right. Thanks for still having me. I got all dressed up tonight.
Hey, we're trying to save time here. Save time, we would have saved, what, $500,000?
You would
There we
have.
go.
The city's fiscal year 2017 capital improvement program includes $660,000 for waterline improvement project labeled Deuce Club's MPC to Central. This project consists of replacing approximately 3,400 linear feet of aging and deteriorating 6-inch AC water line with a 12-inch PVC water main. That also includes installing new water surfaces and fire hydrants and replacing any asphalt and concrete removed during the construction. Proposed improvements are located along the south side of the Deuce Clubs between 8th Street and Central Avenue. Due to the location of other utilities within the corridor, the water main will be installed under the sidewalk. That'll be alignment underneath the sidewalk. The sidewalk and driveways that are removed will be replaced. The project was designed by city engineering staff with a construction estimate of $703,000. ADQ approvals to construct have been obtained. When bidding the project, staff divided the work into two separate phases. Phase 1 will begin after the construction contract has been awarded here tonight and will be completed prior to July 4th. Phase 1 consists of 2,000 feet of the project, starting at 8th Street and stops at 3rd Drive, which is right there by the Giant gas station and Ace Hardware. The Phase 2 will not begin until after 4th of July to minimize the impact on the holiday weekend. That will be the remainder of the project from 3rd Drive down to Central. The project was publicly bid in accordance with statutory requirements with the following results. Rolling Specialty Contracting at $520,114.33. Hatch Construction and Paving at $554,350.00. Rock Country Builders at $662,900.50. Apache Underground Excavating at $677,310.00. And Apache Equipment Services at $688,625.00. Staff recommends awarding the construction contract for the Deuce Club's Waterline 8th Street to Central, City of Shoal Project number W-0116 to Rollins Specialty Contracting in amount not to exceed $520,114.33. The bids tab is attached, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilmember Alsop?
Thank you, Mayor. Question I had, I went by there and was looking at the blue stakes and everything else, and I know you said here, most of the stuff is gonna be underneath the sidewalk, but I've seen a lot of marks still on top of the sidewalk, closer towards Central there. So I know that there's gonna be some, could be some issues there, but, I think we just need to hopefully have them take pride and slowness in there, so there's none of the communications or gas or water or anything else is cut at that time.
Yes, there was, we got the project Blue Stake prior to design, and we went ahead and did some potholing to kind of, verify our own infrastructure while we're designing. There has been an additional mark or two out there since then, in which I will be meeting with utility companies just to verify if that mark is a legitimate locate, or if it's an abandoned line that now showed up. That's where we're hoping that's the case. Those are in minimal locations, but will need to be addressed. However, there are crossings that will need to be done. So vertical realignments and the adjustment of the water main to get under some items will happen as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? See no other, I'll ask for a motion here. Councilmember Hatch.
I move to award the construction contract for the Deuce Club's water line 8th Street to Central City of Show Low project number W0116 to Rawlings Specialty Contracting in an amount not to exceed $520,114.33.
Have a motion by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Alsop. See no other discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 7-0. Thank you, Shane.
I wanted to say aye.
Next item we have is a summary of current events. Any council member wishing to share anything with us on current events may do so at this time. Councilmember Crittenden.
Last Friday, some of us attended the annual chamber banquet, Show Low Chamber Banquet, and there were a number of awards handed out, which I'd like to go through here very rapidly. They had a new award, which was the Executive Directors Hall of Fame Award, and that's a perpetual plaque that will be hung in the chamber for these. The three recipients were Damage Control and DC Restoration, Cellular One, and Kathy Sandoval of National Bank. Then they had the Business Awards of the Year. The Nonprofit of the Year was Show Low Main Street. The Chamber Member of the Year was Cindy Schaffstall. The Business Person of the Year was Ron MacArthur. The Small Business of the Year was The House with Matt McGowan. And the Large Business of the Year was Frontier Communications. It was a great banquet, and we thank everybody for attending.
Thank you, Councilmember Crittenden. Councilmember Leach.
Never mind. It's too early. So no, I have nothing.
Okay. Councilmember Alsop.
Thank you, Mayor. I also attended the same meeting. I had a good time meeting with the new Congressman, Mr. Earl Holland, and we had a great talk, and he's looking forward to doing a lot of stuff here in Show Low and keeping in touch with the council and everything else going on. So had a good time talking to him, and also just want to remind everybody that a Little League registration is going on now throughout the whole city of Show Low. They're going to be down at the Aquatic Center here, I think this weekend. So if you need to get in touch and get your kids signed up for Little League or softball, please do that, hopefully this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council member? This time I'll turn the time to City Manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Our recreation staff is accepting applications and registrations for summer softball, Kids Night Out, March 10th to 24th, and spring play days from March 13th to 16th. Their number is 532-4140. Just a note on some public works projects. The crews are during drainage work at Whipple and 19th, cleaning culverts throughout the city, around the city in different locations, and starting to crack seal the roads in areas that are targeted for slurry sealing in a couple of months. Just a note, at our next council meeting on March 21st, first regular council meeting, we're introducing a new initiative we talked to the council about in the study session in a previous meeting. It'll be under special events to individually discuss the 4 council identified priorities that are the foundation of our annual city budget, and that those goals and priorities help steer policy decisions for the city. We'll focus on the priority of organization at the 21st meeting. The other 3 priorities will be scheduled for individual discussions as the agendas allow. We'll look for agendas that are lighter and we have time to discuss those items. And the goal would be to complete all 4 of the priority areas prior to the council retreat in October. So we're scheduling the first one will be March 21st.
Thank you. Anything else, sir? Scheduling of meetings, is there any meetings that need to be brought up at this time?
Mayor, just a reminder, the council will have a special meeting on March 21st.
I'll be gone.
Okay, at 5:30 to interview applicants for Parks and Rec Advisory Committee and Aviation Advisory Committee. We had previously scheduled this, and all the interviews are already scheduled at this time. So we had scheduled that for 5:30.
5:30 again on the 21st. Councilmember Alsop.
Mayor, I
Mind us.
talked to you and also talked to Ed that I have a conflict that 2 nights there with doing some night work, so I won't be able to make it there.
Appreciate that. If you guys would just give us any input that you might have as you go through the application, would appreciate that. Share that with us there. Okay, at this time, we need to move into executive session where we will discuss the evaluation of our city manager and also discussion or consideration of records exempt by law from public inspection at this time. So need a motion to move into executive session? Have a motion by Vice Mayor. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Alsop. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 6-0. This time, I want to thank you for being here. We will now move into executive session.